Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at United Health. It is time for another update, and on this chart we have been tracking this area of a series of 1-2 setups to have been formed, followed by a wave 3 to the upside and a larger correction within a wave 4. Now in this wave 4 correction we have the area of support between the $260.5 all the way down to the $96 level to allow for continuation higher in a fifth wave. And even though we don't need to max out this area of support, we don't need to get to the last level at the 50% retracement. In fact, I would not like at all to see a break below that level. But even with all this in mind, I do at the moment still prefer to see further continuation lower in at least one more extension to the downside. Now you see, we were initially tracking this as a potential 3-wave move that could have bottomed within this area of support quite early. We had a possible WXY pattern to be considered complete as a wave 4 correction, and we were looking even for a potential 5th wave to have already started. But we were also tracking this idea where an extension to the downside within a wave 5 would allow us to track rather a larger correction in an ABC movement instead. And in such a case, where we followed through within this interpretation, we are focusing still on downside as long as we don't manage to break out of the resistance area between the $342 all the way up to the $510 level at the 78.6% retracement. A break above that level would indeed increase the probabilities of a more direct push to the upside, never minding the exact structure, but right now the probabilities heavily suggest that we should be preferring further continuation lower. And not only that, but if we are to also be looking at proportions, the wave 2 has taken like 2 years, even 3 years we can actually consider to form. This wave 4 correction, it has been ongoing and is still going at this moment, but it's only been 1 year, about 1 year since we actually started this correction in wave 4, and for that reason as well, I wouldn't find it surprising to find an extension such as is available for us in the white interpretation. And even though it is possible at this point to consider a wave B top in place, I am exploring even a potential extension within this correction in wave B. But at this point, I'm not looking for a direct breakout in a wave 5. At this point, I do prefer that we extend lower within the wave 4, even if we form another high within this area. And in the yellow interpretation, we are tracking, in fact, a potential leading diagonal within a wave A, a 3-wave correction into the area of support for a wave B between the $316 all the way down to the $260 level, and a C wave that is expected to continue higher. Now, while we could have bottomed within this wave B correction into the area of support, we did form a 3-wave structure to the downside. We have a reaction higher. We don't need to consider that it is done. It could easily extend, and such an interpretation is available to us. But right now, I wouldn't focus on any particular scenario from this time frame perspective, because within this pattern we could form a larger WXY, we could form a larger ABC movement, nothing outlandish that wouldn't allow us to extend lower within the area of support, but of course a break below the 78.6% retracement at the $260 level would be a heavy warning sign that we should expect the wave C to the downside to unfold instead within the white interpretation. Now within this wave C, we can actually even look for an ideal target, but this is assuming we have already topped within the wave B. You see, if we actually find another top, if we continue in the yellow interpretation and reset the wave B top, I would instead need to adjust the ideal target. I would need to adjust the expectations for the wave C, but as it is right now, I'm looking at an ideal target at the 100% extension of the wave A around the $142 level. Now again, that is an ideal target. It doesn't need to get there and it doesn't need to stop there, but it is a level the wave C generally is drawn towards. And in the end, we do have also some significant structural support along the way, here at these levels between, especially around the $210 level, and additionally here, even stronger possibly, at the $188 level, or around this area between the 200 and 190, and also the 38.2% retracement is the ideal target for an overall wave 4. And I'm mentioning all these because they are not outlandish to consider as a target for our larger correction in the wave 4. Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible to have a direct breakout, but it's not a preferred scenario. We heavily prefer, we find high probabilities in a continuation to lower prices, whether that is to have already started in the wave C or to be looking at a reset of the wave B first before we continue in that downtrend. Now at this point, until we actually fail to hold the area of support in yellow, I won't be focusing too much on the white interpretation. I will be tracking the bearish scenarios that could consider a reset in the wave B in yellow or a more direct wave C in white, but I wouldn't necessarily focus too much on these. And here for continuation lower, yeah, whether that is a 1-2 setup as part of the larger wave 3 where a third wave, not the wave 3, the larger wave C, where a third wave would be expected to continue from here, whether this is just an ABC structure in a larger correction in the wave B in yellow, doesn't really matter. We are tracking for resistance the levels between the $331.7 all the way up to the $363.2 level. So far, we are able to consider this correction complete. In fact, yeah, we could be tracking this as a WXY pattern, in which case we pushed into the 61.8% retracement and we wouldn't need any additional highs to allow continuation to lower prices. Now, I wouldn't also find any issues with forming another low, with forming a reset within the wave B, as within the wave C to the upside, we are currently kind of forced to be tracking an ending diagonal. And that is unfortunately not a very reliable pattern to track internally, and it will be generally more difficult to find trade setups within this structure, within this interpretation to the upside in such a case. Now, however, we still need to track potential continuation higher, because even within an ending diagonal of or in a wave C, we can still track such an idea. And in that case, we had here this idea of a 1-2 setup, where in the wave 1, we of course had an ABC movement, we had a correction in wave 2, and now we are tracking a larger ABC structure within a wave 3. We pushed into the 50% retracement for this area of support for the wave 2, and we have likely bottomed. Now, if we are to form a reset, it's not impossible, but I would already start questioning the reliability, the integrity of this structure if we fail to continue within the wave 3 in a more direct fashion at this point. And since in this wave 3 we are once again tracking an ABC movement, I could be looking and considering here to still prefer actually a larger extension within this wave A. And that is mainly because for the ideal target, for the wave 3 to the upside, if this is to work out within the wave C, and the wave C must be a 5-wave move to the upside, meaning that we must form a reliable wave 3, we would have here the ideal target at the $382 level, the 138.2% extension. If we already topped within this wave A, well, we would need to be prepared for a very strong wave C, because the ideal target for the wave C is the 100% extension of the wave A, and even if we had already formed a bottom within this wave B, the ideal target would sit at around the $370 level, which would come in short of the ideal target for the overall wave 3. Now, it's not impossible for us to manage to build these structures and follow through even if we have formed a top within the wave A, but as it is now, I would like to still see extensions higher within the wave A. And for that, I will be tracking internally the area of support for such an idea. That is here for a correction at the levels between the $340 all the way down to the $328 level. Now, we may still be building an internal structure for this wave A. So right now, for the larger wave A, for this wave A, I am looking for an ABC movement to be possibly built. And the last level of support that I can reliably track is the $382 level. But I could also see internal extensions possible. I could also see this to work out in something like a 1-2, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and then a fifth wave. And for this, we would have an internal area of support that goes from the levels. Yeah, this is, I will be using here a slightly different color just to see more clearly in or on top of the yellow area of support, but is between the $347 all the way down to the $337 level. So far, we still have some room, but I wouldn't necessarily focus too much personally here in the small time frame on the exact count, and I would instead focus on the large area of support that we can track here that allows the largest retracement. And for me here, a break below the 78.6% retracement is the signal that this structure is more likely going to follow either the white scenario or a reset within the wave B in yellow. And before we close off, for such an idea, we can track an ideal target for the movement to the downside if it is to fail, assuming we have a more significant top in place. And for the wave C, that would be the 100% extension, the $281 level, around the 61.8% retracement. And for the wave 3, it would be the 138.2% extension, the $258 level instead, yeah, right below the 78.6% retracement. Now, as you notice, we would still be likely within the area of support. Even within a wave 3, we may be building rather just a large wave C, and a quick dip below the area of support is not a problem. And in the end, I might still prefer lower continuation at this point. While I am tracking continuation in a large wave 3 to the upside, it's not necessarily a high probability interpretation, whether it is where we have a wave A top in place, whether the wave A still extends higher. It's just not a reliable pattern to be tracking here in the small time frame for a direct push in a C wave to the upside. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.